A young black male receives a $100,000 settlement because he was physically assaulted by the police. It's called excessive force. Let's go ahead and go to the video. Here it is.
Excuse me. How you doing, sir? Good. How about you? You good?
What that mean? What that mean? You just said.
What's up? What you up to? I'm gonna pat you down real quick, all right?
I ain't doing that.
Hey, Dunk.
Where? What are you doing?
I'm gonna pat you down real quick. If you're not going handcuffs if you don't stop.
I'm not even doing nothing.
Okay.
Bro, come on, man. I ain't even doing
415, let me step it up. He's running. I dislocated my shoulder. Get on the ground! He's running east through the woods. He's grabbing his back left waistband.
You may be asking, well, what crime did the young man commit? None. Nothing. Cops found nothing. The young man received a $100,000 payout because of the incompetence, the criminality of that cop. Put up the picture of the young man. This is a screenshot of a move by the cop where he's trying to literally subdue this young person who committed no crime. That's the beginning of it, all right? This was in Durham. The cop, whose name is Michael McGlasson, grabbed the young Tony Scott Jr. after wrongly suspecting the teen of drug possession. Let me say this. There's a lot of commentary that comes after these segments. Some will say, well, he was obviously doing something illegal. He ran. Why did he run? I want to help somebody here. I mentor a lot of young black men. They're afraid. They're authentically, genuinely afraid. They literally believe at times they are going to be set up by the police. Why? Because the police do that. Yeah, it happens. They believe they're going to be beaten up by the police for doing absolutely nothing wrong. Why would they believe that? Because the cops do that and get away with it. And they do it to a much larger degree than it is ever recorded. So in local communities, these things are happening at a level that would significantly change your opinion about why a young black male would run from the cops. The city of Durham has now paid out money, $100,000 to be exact, to the Scott family. Last month, effectively ended the lawsuit against them. A spokesperson for the city told Atlanta Black Star, the settlement payment to Tony Scott Jr. is not an admission of wrongdoing. The city executes and will perform the settlement agreement solely to avoid the inconvenience, burden, and expense of continued litigation. The statement continued. The police did not immediately return request for comment, okay? Now, if you want to talk about defunding the police, that's how you actually defund the police, by having cops who engage in activity like this, activity antithetical to the policy, activity against the standards of their own industry. Now, the city comes out with spin. Believe me, ladies and gentlemen, if the city could defend this, they would, if for nothing else to make an example. If they could defend it in front of members of a jury or even a judge, they would, in order to set an example. They could not defend this. I don't give a damn what they say. Court documents allege that the Durham police, Officer Michael McGlasson, responded to a call that someone was selling drugs in the store. So he just assumed it was him. McGlasson's body camera video captures the moment he enters the store, filled with a group of teenagers. He walked towards Scott, who is seen standing at the cash register. He was wearing what appears to be a Letterman jacket with his last name stitched on the front. McGlasson asked him, "What are you up to?" Before Scott had a chance to reply, the officer said, "I'm going to pat you down real quick." Yep. A hesitant Scott says to the officer, "I didn't even do nothing. What are you doing?" As the officer grabs Scott's arm, he threatens the team by saying, "You're going in handcuffs if you don't stop." He started grabbing me harder and harder and got a hold of me and threw me, Scott Jr. recounted during an interview with the News and Observer newspaper. The officer then slammed Scott onto the floor. Police found no drugs, none. Police found no weapons, none. But arrested him anyway. On what? On 2 felony assault charges. The charges were for assaulting a police officer and assault causing serious bodily injury. To throw somebody around like that, a slim and skinny little boy, he needs counseling. He should not be a police officer, Tony Scott Sr. told WTVD. Scott Jr. told the affiliate, McGlasson did not explain why he wanted to search him. If the police would have come to him in a calm manner and not aggressive, I'm sure none of this would have happened, Scott Sr. said. And he's right, he knows. Explain it. But there's this assumption. Keep in mind, when assumptions like this are made, the individual on the other side of the assumption, especially if they are aware of how police can conduct themselves in certain circumstances, if you are posed that question, you already think it's a setup. Especially if you are a young man, you think it's a setup. And hell, it could be sometimes, all right? David, thoughts here.
A couple of things. First of all, in terms of you need probable cause, right, in order to be able to effect a search on somebody. A phone call saying that, well, somebody's doing drugs in the store without providing any sort of description, without providing, any details is not enough then. In most courts, I would imagine, and I've seen before, most courts would not say that's enough in order for a police officer to randomly pick out whoever he wants to pick out and start to do a search. Secondly, there has to be some consent for a search. And if there's a lack of consent, the officer is still obligated to say, here's why I'm doing this. You can't just say, I'm gonna search you just because you want to. Yeah. So everything was sort of stacked up here, I think, in favor of him getting this settlement. I think the police officer should be fired. And clearly, as you point out, the city wouldn't settle unless it was obvious that they were gonna lose in court. So wise on the city to try to save some money. I just think the police department now, the ball's in their court, they need to get rid of this officer.
That's right, well said, or he will continue to defund the police, right?